Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Sun.
The Rays offense has been red hot, scoring 37 runs over the past 4 games. Tonight, Tampa Bay's bats face a stiff test as the Rangers arrive at the Trop with lefty Cole Hamels taking the hill. We welcome you to a night of Rays baseball on a Friday evening as the Tampa Bay Rays will welcome in the Texas Rangers for a weekend series, middle series of this 10-game homestand. The Rays coming off a sweep of the San Diego Padres and an off day yesterday, and now they battle the team with the best record in the American League, the Texas Rangers, for the first of 3. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Todd Callis alongside Brian Anderson. And as we get you ready for baseball on this Friday night, the Rays looking to win 5 in a row for the first time this year. And BA, one of those reasons the offense has been very solid lately, and tonight they will have a stern test.
A runaway freight train. Prolific, dynamic. I don't know how you want to describe this Rays offense, but all of the above fit. They've been getting done in a big way. A lot of crooked numbers. 37 runs scored over the last 4 games. That's 9.3 runs a game. Look at the team average at 319, and more than half of their hits have gone for extra bases, including 11 home runs. And oh, by the way, getting it done with runners in scoring position too. 14 out of 42 with RISP and 5 home runs to go along with it. A lot of production up and down that lineup. And the man that will be tasked tonight in trying to slow them down is Cole Hamels. And Cole Hamels is having a tremendous season. 12-4, 2.88. And his best work, ironically enough, coming on the road. 13 of his 24 starts on the road, 8-2 record, a 1.97 ERA, and you can see the opponent's average there barely above 200. 4 very good pitches, and he mixes them as well as anybody.
When we come back, we will talk about the face of the Rays franchise, who is now the leader in another big category. Rich Hollenberg will be along to talk about Evan Longoria as we continue right after this on Fox Sports Sun.
Tampa Bay taking on Texas. Evan Longoria and the Rays set to face Cole Hamels and the Rangers. This, by all accounts, has been a career year on so many levels for Evan Longoria, the most tenured player in the Rays clubhouse. Made even more special because now he's the most tenured Rays player in franchise history. Take a look at our Toyota inside look, and you see, in addition to being the all-time team leader in home runs, RBIs, doubles, nearly every category, he has now passed Carl Crawford for most games played in the 19-year history of this organization. 1,236 games is the number that set the mark, but Evan says there's more to come.
It's something that I'm proud of. I've obviously dedicated my whole career and been here my whole career, and so to be, you know, at the top of the list now and still counting, you know, planning on being here for quite a few more years. So hopefully we can just build on that number.
Longo 1 for 6 in his career against Hamels. That lone base hit, an RBI single in Game 5 of the 2008 World Series. It's TK and BA ASAP, okay? Todd Callis, Brian Anderson with the call on the other side. 3.5 minutes till first pitch between the Rays and the Rangers.
Matt Andriese taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, opening up a 3-game series against the Texas Rangers. First time in 2016 the Rays have played the Rangers. For Matt, it'll be his 12th start of the year. Here's your look at the lineups for the Texas Rangers, brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. Jurickson Profar will lead things off. The left fielder, Ian Desmond in center. Carlos Beltran is the designated hitter. Adrian Beltre at third. Rougned Odor at second. Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher. Mitch Moreland at first. Nomar Mazara gets the start in right. And Elvis Andrus is the shortstop.
Well, one thing I already like here tonight for Matt Andriese is his walk-up music. Not really his walk-up music, but his warm-up music. Already a big fan of that. And for Matt Andriese, the key is going to be pounding the strike zone early. When he's able to do that, and he's done a really nice job of that overall for the Rays this season, that's when he can go to work with that changeup that will have 3, sometimes 4 different breaks to it. Very tough for opposing hitters, but that pitch is made better by strikes early. Let's take a look at the Rays defense and see how it's going to line up behind Matt here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, we have Mikey Matuk, Kevin Kiermaier, and Steven Souza Jr. And across the infield, third to first, Evan Longoria, Matt Duffy, Tim Beckham, and Brad Miller. Bobby Wilson behind the plate.
You can hear it a little bit in the background,
Yeah.
but what did you like about it?
I said this is a recent download for me, like the last couple of days. So when he came out to this, you just know he's destined for a great outing.
He's looking for one because since coming back to the rotation after being in the bullpen for a while, he has not been as good as he was early in the season. Andriese making his 4th start since coming back from the bullpen. Started against Kansas City, Minnesota, and last start against the Yankees allowed 4 home runs in that outing. Well, here we are with about a quarter of the season to go, and the Rangers will take on the Rays for the first time this year. Rays have completed their entire interleague schedule. They've played every other American League team. And now they get the team that has the best record in the American League, the Texas Rangers, and Jurickson Profar will lead things off. The first pitch from Andriese is a fastball inside for ball 1. Rays come in with a record of 19 games under 500. The Rangers, an American League best, 22 games over 500. There's Kevin Cash, second-year manager for the Rays, looking for a 5-game winning streak for the second time in his managerial career. Rays swept the Padres after winning the final game against the Yankees in New York. Breaking ball called strike. It's 1-2.
Well, and they did it in absolutely dominating fashion. You know, they had the 15-1 victory. Of course, the Chris Archer shutout absolutely blew the Padres up. That gives the team a lot of confidence, especially when you go into an off day and then you're itching to get back on the field that next night. Here we are.
In the dirt, blocked by Bobby Wilson. Saw Jeff Bannister a moment ago, trying to lead the Rangers once again to the postseason. He was American League Manager of the Year last year in his first year as the skipper.
Boy, what a closing kick for that Ranger team a year ago, winning 40 of their last 62 games to claim that Western Division title.
There's the first strikeout of the night for Matt Andriese as he gets Profar. Swinging and missing.
And nothing fancy about it at all. Just a challenge fastball there by Matt Andriese. And he powers it right by the leadoff hitter for the Rangers. Nice way to start a ball game. Stay behind it, drive it. That ball actually catching more plate than he probably would have liked, but still beats the swing of Profar.
We're thinking that Matt Andriese is going to be close to being fully extended tonight for the first time since moving back into the rotation from the bullpen. This is his 4th start. Last time was a little bit shortened due to the extreme heat and humidity in New York. And also, he was pretty ineffective. He allowed 4 home runs in that game.
Yeah, and you know what? His last 2 starts have been 76 pitches, 76 pitches. You do that back-to-back, you should be able to get up there close to that 100 pitch mark, which seems to be the magic number.
Brad Miller will look to have a play right in front of the dugout in the stands, and he does. Miller puts it away for the second out as Ian Desmond pops up into foul territory. And I think for the final 40-plus games for the Rays here going into tonight, they've played 119 games, so they have 43 to go. Matt Andriese is one of the guys that Kevin Cash is going to be watching as close as anybody just to see where he is. Can he be a viable part of the rotation next year?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the guys that are here already, and you know, Jake Odorizzi and Drew Smiley and Chris Archer and Matt Andriese, you just keep going down the list. You think about Alex Cobb coming back, Chase Whitley, you know, coming back. You're going to have a surplus, and so guys are going to have to somehow, you know, move themselves into that top 5. You know, some of those spots are already taken.
Beltran grounds one up the line, and Andriese makes the play himself. It is a solid start to the game for the Rays right-hander Matt Andriese as he retires the Rangers in order. 3, so 1-2-3 top half of the first inning. Now the Rays turn to bat. Here's a look at the lineup brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. Mikey Montauk gets a chance in the leadoff spot. Kevin Kiermaier back in the 2 spot. Evan Longoria, Brad Miller, Matt Duffy, Logan Morris in the DH. Tim Beckham starts for Logan Forsythe at second. Steven Souza Jr. in right, and Bobby Wilson behind the plate.
Well, we talked about Cole Hamels' work on the road. There are his season numbers, making his 25th start. 12-4 record, ERA 2.88. I'll tell you, he really has a great idea what he's doing out there out on the mound.
And he pours a fastball over for a strike for the first pitch to Montauk.
Now, that's the one thing that you'll notice with Cole Hamels is his ability to mix pitches and stay unpredictable. Fastball, cutter, curveball, changeup, and he really does a nice job of the mixing and matching. You know, a proven veteran winner.
He was part of that big run down the stretch that you mentioned earlier with the Rangers. He's looking at Mikey Montauk's numbers on the year, getting a chance to lead off for the 3rd time this year.
You know, John Daniels made that trade. The Rangers were 4 games under 500, and they were 8 games back in the division. Now that's not a buyer. You know, typically you wouldn't think that that record, that position would be a buyer, but John Daniels got aggressive. They bring in Cole Hamels. They win 10 of his 12 starts. They win 40 of the last 62 games, and guess what? Win the division. I mean, that's being extremely aggressive, and boy, it paid off big.
And he's come out here this year with another dozen wins against 4 losses. So Hamels, in a little more than a year as a Ranger, is 19-5 with Texas.
That ERA just over 3. Typically, you know, you see the ERA go up a little bit and you head over to the American League. Not the case with Hamels.
Fly ball in the left center field. Converging on it is both Profar and Desmond. It's the left fielder Jurickson Profar to make the play.
Well, let's take a look at that Texas Ranger defense, brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. And in the outfield left to right, they have Jurickson Profar, Ian Desmond, and Nomar Mazara. And across the infield, 3rd to 1st, Adrian Beltre, Elvis Andrus, Rougned Odor, Mitch Moreland, Jonathan Lucroy behind the plate.
How about that guy coming over? Speaking of a trade deadline deal, what a difference maker he has been.
No, and we talked about it in the pregame, and I relayed the conversation that you and I were having of the different challenges that he had to face coming over to this team.
Kiermaier to the first baseman Moreland, an easy put out, 2 away.
And you brought it up. I mean, you said, look at this guy. First of all, he's leaving Milwaukee. You know, the pressure is different all of a sudden. You are a catcher midstream. You've got to learn an entirely new pitching staff. Oh, by the way, in the middle of a pennant race, you're going to a climate that is much hotter, much more demanding of the catching position. And oh, by the way, once you master all of that, we need you to swing the stick a little for us. And he's got 7 of the Rangers' 15 total home runs in the month of August.
How about that? I mean, yeah, you're right. And I've heard as Longoria digs in.
No, I'm not right. You're the one that said all that. I'm agreeing with you.
You're agreeing. He's got all that, and he apparently just pours over video after video to learn the opposing hitters. Longoria towards the hole, but Beltre cuts it off. His throw is wide, though, and that'll allow Evan to reach base. That's going to be an error on Beltre, his 9th of the year, as Longoria is a 2-out base runner.
Well, and Adrian Beltre, one of the best defenders at the third base position in all of baseball, and having a tremendous year. We've made this point before. When you are able to square your hips, good things happen. And not quite there was he able to square them up and kind of yank that throw just a little bit.
See that sidearm throw, it kind of pulled through it.
Yeah, it didn't square the hips. I'm telling you, when you square the hips up, good things happen. Saw that on the throw by Kiermaier. We've seen it other places.
Here's Brad Miller. Oh, by the way, he's got as many home runs more than anybody in baseball since July 1st. This guy just continues to hit home runs. It's remarkable. He had a great series against the San Diego Padres. Hit 3 home runs in his last 7 at-bats. And he's ahead of the count 2-0 on Cole Hamels.
Here's the thing. The last time I was with the team and fortunate enough to be doing this job, I was saying, maybe he could get to 30.
That would be great.
He could potentially just blow right by 30.
He's at 25
I mean, maybe
now.
by the end of this homestand, he could get to 30, the way he's swinging the bat.
For guys who have played shortstop and hit left-handed in Major League Baseball history, nobody has more home runs than this guy. And he still has a quarter of the season left. Past Dick McAuliffe for the mark of left-handed hitting shortstops. Even though some of these home runs have come at first base, more than half of his games were at short. So that's what qualifies him. It's now 3-1.
Did any left-handed hitting shortstops ever be able to sport yellow shoelaces as well as Brad Miller?
Ooh. And no batting gloves. It's a good look. That's a strike. It's 3-2.
Listen, he's got high pants, stirrup socks, old school stirrup socks, high pants, yellow shoelaces, no batting gloves. Of course he's raking. You can't, pull that off and not be getting the job done.
And the arm sleeve on the non-throwing hand.
One arm sleeve.
There's ball 4 outside.
And on the left, it's a left arm sleeve. Yeah, he's got it all going.
And he takes a walk from Cole Hamels. Well, Hamels should feel pretty comfortable working out of the stretch tonight because that's all he did in his last start.
Well, I literally had to check 2 or 3 different sites to make sure I wasn't seeing something.
7 innings against the Tigers, a career high 14 hits allowed, 3 walks.
Yeah, that's 17
and 2
base
runs.
17.
Look, that line is accurate. That's not.
Yeah, now,
we're not making that up.
When you take a quick look at that, do you think there's a typo somewhere? Maybe that one leaves at 7-4. That's why you had to go to a couple different sites, and you're like, no, that's legit. He gave up 2 hits an inning and walked 3 guys, and somehow managed to only give up 2 runs. And unfortunately for him, he takes a loss in that. You deserve a win. That's pitching right there. That is pitching.
Matt Duffy back in the lineup after missing the game on Wednesday due to that Achilles situation. Says if he had to play that day, he could have, but it was good to get back-to-back days with the off day yesterday. And now Hamels has missed again, and Cole's all of a sudden struggling with the zone. It's 2-0.
Well, he was careful with Brad Miller after falling behind, trying to make perfect pitches, understanding this guy is red hot. Of course, that comes on the heels of what should have been a ground ball to Beltre to end the inning. And now the Rays with an opportunity and a pretty good count here to work with.
Down the line towards right. This ball is going to be a foul ball. Missed an RBI double, possibly 2 RBI doubles by a foot or 2.
Boy, off the bat, that looked good. And with 2 outs, that was going to clear the bases. No doubt about it. 6 inches.
So Duffy will come back to the plate. Matt 7 for 19 since joining the Rays. Duffy has faced Cole Hamels before. Hamels spent his entire career with the Phillies prior to being traded during the trade deadline last year. Duffy's 3 for 6 against Cole with 3 RBIs. Pitch backs him off the plate. It's now 3-1. So an Evan Longoria ground ball to the left side that Adrian Beltre made an error on, and now a walk to Brad Miller. And with 2 outs, it's a 3-1 count on Matt Duffy. Ground ball slowly hit towards short. Andrews comes in, throws on the run in time to get Duffy, and that'll do it for the Rays in the first. Couple of left on. We're scoreless through 1. Brought to you by Jeep, the official vehicles of summer, celebrating 75 summers of living for by forever. By Best Buy, tech to impress at Best Buy. By LRE, specializing in concrete releveling, soil stabilization, and restoration services since 1989. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Second inning underway. Adrian Beltre takes a called strike on the inner half. Had a word or two for the young umpire behind home plate tonight, Chad Whitson. Beltre, Rougned Odor, Jonathan Lucroy, the first three for the Rangers in the second. And there is a ground ball against the shift for a base hit to right.
Well, that's where the shift is set up. A pitch is thrown that gives Adrian Beltre the ability to go that way. As you see right here, pulled all the way over there, Tim Beckham, wide open right side, and gets a ball moving down and away. That's just too easy to poke that ball the other way for a leadoff hit.
And that's another reason why all this talk about eliminating shifts seems a little foolish, because hitters have a defense against it.
Yeah, listen, that would be like eliminating the blitz in football, because
right.
it's effective. Well, you can't blitz. You can't send more than it's called the Pro Bowl, and it stinks. So let them play. Let the offense will figure it out.
Here's Rougned Odor. Takes a strike, 0-1.
Sorry if I'm coming out a little bit hot.
No, it's good though.
I've had
It's good because you had a few
off.
days off. I'm glad to see you back. And just so everybody knows, we're all given scheduled days off during the course of the year, so everything's fine.
Only
Dwayne will be back
mine are
tomorrow.
called suspensions.
I did have a couple people ask me, I'll be honest with you, if the discussion about the meetings gave you a timeout. Talked about a lot of meetings in New York. I've said no, everybody has scheduled days off.
That's in September. That's mid-September when those days off for me come.
Andres, only 9 pitches needed in the first inning, has a runner on first, nobody out, and an 0-2 count on Rougned Odor.
They really did ask you that?
Couple people. And that's just in person. I can't imagine if people at home were like, I wonder if.
It's too
You
good.
got a chance to catch up with the family, watch a little Olympics and preseason football, so life is good.
Yeah. And interestingly enough,
Stopper to the right side. Beckham looks at the runner, throws to first, and Miller's throw is going to be not in time. Beckham looked at Beltre, decided to make the throw to first, and Beltre gets into second.
I think Tim Beckham is trying to calculate, can I make the throw to first and then we can turn it and get him on the tag at second base? Because Beltre's just going to stop. Okay, let me get this guy and then we can get him. Brad Miller comes off firing a little bit high and wide, and Beltre's able to sneak in there and keep the foot on the bag. That's what the right there comes for a second, but boy, he stays in contact.
So he thought he could get 2 turned. Instead, it puts a runner in scoring position. And here is Jonathan Lucroy.
That's one of those plays where you get a little bit greedy, because you know the easy thing to do, he's going to stop. Okay, you run at him and tag him maybe, or you get the lead man and go from there. But I think in Tim Beckham's mind, he's saying he's far enough away from second. A quick throw to first, a quick throw back to second, and we can turn this thing. You get a little bit greedy, and it doesn't work out. Now you got a man in scoring position.
And it was slowly enough hit that he really didn't have time to do the shovel to short and the double play.
You were not turning it tradition.
Right.
No way. You're right. Odor would have absolutely beat that out because of how quietly that ball came off the bat.
Well, the ball has been coming off the bat loudly for the guy at the plate since joining the Rangers, Jonathan Lucroy. Mentioned earlier everything he's dealing with changing leagues, learning a new staff, learning new pitchers, learning new hitters. He came out of the gates with, look at that, 7 home runs in 15 games. He had 6 in the first 10, which has never happened before in franchise history as the Washington Senators or the Texas Rangers, where a guy new to the team hit 6 home runs in the first 10 games.
Almost has half of their home runs for the month, for the team. They've hit 15 home runs as a team in August. Man's got 7.
Swing and a miss at a high fastball. It's 2-2.
Well, when you have a guy in a 2-1 count, what's he born in on? He wants that fastball, no doubt about it. So at Matt Andriese, he gives him that heater, but he gives it to him up around the letters, and he just cannot get up there.
Andriese will attack the strike zone. Hitters were very aggressive against him in his last start in New York.
What we were going to get into yesterday. So I sit down to watch the beginning of the Indians game last night. We're not playing. That game's on. It's local. They do the umpires to start the ball game. I had two questions. First of all, who's Chad Whitson? And second of all, Jim Wolf. I don't think we've had him for a series all year. And how we didn't end up on the same flight down here, because here they are the next day.
There you go. We'll get Wolf in the home plate position on Sunday for the finale of this series as Lucroy chops one foul. So there you go. You just saw these guys.
I literally thought that. And I said, oh, who's this Chad Whitson guy? And then I looked down at the rest of them, and I'm like, oh, Jim Wolf. I'm like, I don't remember us having him this year for any series. And I'm thinking about that last night. And we show up today, and I'm like, oh, guess what?
There he is.
Followed right down here.
There he is. They could have hung out with you after one of the games in Cleveland. How do you know? 2-2 the count to Lucroy. Wolf's one of the better people in baseball. One of the great guys.
You know, getting a chance to play in the same era, you know, as his brother.
Right, Randy.
Randy. And then, of course, you know, run into Jim Wolf, and you're right. Just a tremendous, tremendous human being. Man of principle. Perfect job for him.
There you go. So Andriese, after a 9-pitch first inning, working a little longer this inning. He's already thrown 12 pitches and now has a full count on Lucroy. Lucroy had 13 home runs with the Brewers before coming over to Texas.
I think he was lamenting that pitch right there.
That was his pitch?
It hung. It stayed out over the plate, didn't have a ton of movement to it. He took a big pass at it, and you could see him hang his head after the foul off, almost saying to himself, that was my pitch.
Not just the game at Yankee Stadium, but the last 18-plus innings, Matt Andriese has struggled a little bit with the long ball, allowing 7 home runs.
And he had been great in that category before that. And how about climb the ladder just a little bit at 93 miles an hour. Goes up, but goes away. Gets him to chase another fastball.
First baseman, number 18, Mitch Moreland.
So a big strikeout for Andriese. He now has 2. And he'll battle Mitch Moreland. See Mitch's numbers on the year. A lot of extra base hits lately. Breaking ball, swing and a miss, nothing in 1. Moreland, one of the hitters who has not faced Andriese prior in the Rangers lineup. And Andriese ahead, nothing in 2. Tried to hold up, but he went around, and that'll do it for the Rangers in the second. 3 strikeouts in the game for Andriese, and we're scoreless. Tropicana Field's going to be the life of the party on Sunday when Kids Bop Kids perform after the Rays take on the Rangers. Wrap up this series. Let's call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com today. Rays up. Logan Morrison will lead things off for the Rays, followed by Tim Beckham, Steven Souza Jr. facing Cole Hamels, who delivers a strike, 0-1. Since coming off the DL with that forearm strain, Logan Morrison is 3 for 10 with 3 doubles and 4 runs batted in. On the ground, right side, Moreland will take it himself. And there's one out here in the second. Cole Hamels making a start tonight at Tropicana Field. Last time he pitched here was the World Series, 2008. Game 1. He would eventually be the World Series MVP that year.
Yeah, what a time. Well, that was an interesting. First of all, was it that long ago? 2008. It's 16.
8 years ago, yeah.
Yeah,
years ago.
2016. Where does the time go?
I know, right?
I was in spring training that year as a player, and then at one point blew out the elbow for a 3rd time and was a coach the next day. Moved my locker from players into coach's locker room with a pitch counter and a fungo bat.
So you didn't even get to keep your locker out there.
No,
they needed the space.
You can't hang out with the guys anymore. You're not one of them. Now I'm hitting them fungos and covering first base. It was so weird. But one thing I do remember is obviously being a part of spring training. The feeling around the team was that we're going to show them. Nobody thinks that this team can get it done. We're going to go out and prove it. And that was the year that I think everybody was waiting. When do the Rays finally fade? When do they fade? Next thing you know, they're facing this guy game 1 of the World Series.
Cole Hamels against Scott Kazmir in front of a just unbelievably fired up crowd here at Tropicana Field. There's a swing and a miss at the breaking ball, and Beckham goes down swinging. Lucroy has to throw down to Moreland for the putout. First strikeout for Hamels. Let's flash it back, BA.
Well, here it is. There's that deluxe changeup that Cole Hamels is able to feature. That's the other thing that he is able to do is spot the ball around the zone, and he just can't believe how time flies. He threw a heck of a ball game there to start that series off. It would get weird at the end. You remember the couple of days, just the deluge in Philadelphia.
Right.
We ended up at a hotel in Delaware.
Yeah, that's right. That was crazy.
We're in Delaware.
There's not many teams that play a World Series game that stay in Delaware. That would be the first. Want to know the count?
Well, you remember Wayne's World when they spoke of Delaware. Yeah,
I should, but I don't.
Just, you know what?
I'll pretend like I do, but I
if
really
you're
don't.
interested, if anybody at home's interested, just Google it. That tells you all you need to know about Delaware.
I lived in Delaware for a year.
You did?
Yeah.
Isn't that their team, the Hens, the Blue Hens? Isn't that Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco. Rich Gannon prior to that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they ran the wing tee with Tubby Raymond.
Wow, that's pretty.
I work for University of Delaware. I know.
Yes,
I had to know this stuff.
Yes, you did.
There you go.
Well, they throw out NFL quarterbacks. I'll give them that.
There you go. 2-1 to count. Souza swings one and fouls one back. All right, so you talked about Game 5 when the Rays stayed in Delaware. Here you go. And it started out, all the fans in Philly, speaking of revved up, wearing those rain ponchos because it was a rainy night. B.J. Upton scores the tying run, and then they say, hold on, we got to come back 2 days later, and then this is what happened 2 days later.
Yeah, 2 days later. I mean, you ever heard of such a thing?
Strike 3 called on Steven Souza Jr. So Cole Hamels, a quick second inning, including a couple of strikeouts. Fielder for the Rays is Nick Franklin, who comes into the game, and Mikey Matuk will move from left field to center field. Kevin Kiermaier has left the game after 2 innings. We'll try and get you an update on what is going on with Kiermaier.
You know, he was a little gimpy when he got to first base. And we hit that ball that grounded out to first base in the first inning. It almost gave me the impression that he fouled the ball off of his foot. You see right here as he's going to head up there. See right there, that's not Kiermaier down the line. That is not, that's gimpy. And how important his legs are to him.
And how important he is to this entire team. We saw what happened when he was on the disabled list earlier. So Kevin Cash has had to put Nick Franklin into the outfield and move Mikey Matuk over to center. Franklin left the game on Wednesday after walking and scoring a run on the Brad Miller home run. He got hit in the head by Kiermaier, who was warming up on deck, swinging a bat.
Yeah, I saw the footage of that. I mean, that's, you talk about another thing that I've never seen before.
1-2 the count on Nomar Mazara. Let's take a look at this Wednesday. This is bizarre. He goes to get the pine tar. There it is, right on top of his head.
I mean, right on the back of his head.
He was a standing 8 count for a while there.
Made 2 of them in the building. There's one standing 8 count that's here every day. And then Nick Franklin made that 2 that particular evening.
One and 2 the count on Mazara. Mazara turned 21 this year. Right fielder, getting a chance to play on a regular basis. You saw his numbers, 282, 13 home runs, 44 runs batted in. Grounder right side, Miller behind the bag makes the play himself. So 1 out. The only runner allowed so far by Matt Andriese is a little roller against the ship by Adrian Beltre. And for Matt, we mentioned it's been a little bit of a struggle lately as Elvis Andrus, number 9 hitter, digs in. Last couple of starts, 4 2/3. Again, limited pitches in that start, but 6 hits, 3 runs. And then last start against the Yankees, 5 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs. I think Matt is very happy to be pitching indoors today after that last start.
Yeah, listen, for Matt Andriese, the struggles the last 2 starts, it's been a long period, end of discussion. You know, he did such a great job of limiting home runs early on, and let's be honest, there's been an awful lot asked of Matt Andriese this year. This is his 3rd stint as a starter. You know, he started, rotation, bullpen, had a spot start, a doubleheader, day-night doubleheader in Baltimore. Then he goes back to the bullpen. Now he's asked to go back into the rotation, constantly fluctuating, the pitch counts. And, he's been bit by the home run bug the last couple of ball games.
Yeah, that's it. You said, the home runs hurt him, and in Yankee Stadium,
yeah,
you're going to get bit by the home run a little bit.
And by the way, those games at Yankee Stadium, it was so hot and humid. We saw the ball was flying for both teams. You got the ball airborne with anything on it, it was leaving.
Jurickson Profar is the batter with 2 outs and nobody on. The Padres were just in town against the Rays, had been in New York the same time the Rays were taking on the New York Yankees. Ground ball up the middle, base hit in the right center field. This ball is heading towards the gap. Cut off by Souza. Profar heading to second, and the throw is cut off.
And if Jurickson Profar is hustling out of the box, he walks into second base. That's one of those ground balls where you see a lot of the Rays hitters, they'll make that same contact, and you think about Kiermaier. You think about the way that he comes out of the box. This is a stand-up double for him. He didn't even turn it on until that ball got to about right there, and that's why Souza thought that he had a play on it. He's just going to take his base hit right there. Going to take his base hit. Wait a minute, this is a little deeper than I thought. Now I pick it up, and Souza Jr. made a play on it. It wasn't a close play, but it should have been no throw.
That snaps an 0 for 19 for Profar. He's a 2-out base runner, second runner in scoring position for the Rangers. And with 2 outs, it's Ian Desmond at the plate. Well, there were rumors that Profar was on the radar for a trade, looking for pitching. He was even involved in rumors for Matt Moore. And Moore ended up, of course, going to the Giants. And the Rangers got a pitcher, but not a starter. Ended up getting some help in their bullpens.
Well, their
they
bullpen
added to their offense a lot.
Yeah.
They added to their bullpen as well.
We talked about the Cole Hamels trade from a year ago. John Daniels, aggressive as a general manager. He's proven that. And so then you bring on the bat of Beltran, you bring on Lucroy, and then Jeremy Jeffress. He comes in quietly. He was 27 out of 28 saves up in Milwaukee, and he just kind of slides in the back door to this bullpen, who statistically it's the worst bullpen in the American League. Better now. Got some guys healthy, some guys that were underperforming, no longer a part of things. But certainly that's a quiet, good pickup.
1-1 the count on Desmond. 2 outs, runner on second. Foul tip. It's 1-2. Well, it's already an offense in the Rangers that was one of the best in the league, and then you add Beltran, who is leading the Yankees in every offensive category, and Lucroy. What a difference maker he can be. So they are going to be tough to catch in the AL West, starting the day with a lead of 7 games over the Mariners. Andriese picks up a strikeout, his 4th of the game, and we're still scoreless through 2.5.
In the bottom of the 3rd for the Tampa Bay Rays as they take on the Rangers. Wilson, formerly of the Rangers, talked to him earlier today about Cole Hamels. He said 2 things: premier stuff and a premier competitor. That's what makes Cole Hamels so special, and they earned each other's trust pretty early on. They pitched and caught each other last year and then some this year, and now they're facing each other. And guys, as you see ball 1 outside, Bobby Wilson said the same thing goes now that he's with this Rays staff. The number one thing he wants to do as a catcher is earn the pitching staff's trust. He learned that day 1 in the bigs from his first manager, Mike Scioscia.
All right, Rich, thank you. Swing and a miss from Bobby Wilson, 1-1. Wilson caught Cole Hamels 13 times last year and then this year prior to being let go. Hamels has spent the rest of his career in the National League, so Wilson has never faced Cole Hamels. Been his battery mate 13 times, but he's never faced him as a hitter. Now the count's 1-2. Hamels allowed a walk in the 1st, and that's it so far. Struck out 2 the last inning. Bobby Wilson and Jonathan Lucroy conversing there. Wilson strikes out. The reason Wilson is here in Tampa Bay is because Lucroy does not like Cleveland as much as you do.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And you know, that was interesting too, because you're thinking to yourself, well, you got the top team in the American League Central that wants you to come catch. You get out of Milwaukee, you're not going anywhere with Milwaukee. How do you decline that? But then you look at the Cleveland catching situation, and you look at the fact they've got Yan Gomes under contract for multiple years, and Jonathan Lucroy saying, listen, if I'm not going to be the catcher, I'm not going to go there and bounce around. There was talk of him getting some DH work for space. I want to be a catcher. That's where my value is, and I'm not going to go there and play in that kind of a role. And he had that right because he had a no trade to Cleveland.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, he was probably told, listen, there'll be other opportunities that pop up. This one is not good for you because of the catching situation in Cleveland moving forward, at least contractually. And so he turned that down, and Texas pounced.
Texas pounces, and then DFA let go Bobby Wilson because of the extra catcher, and then the Rays end up picking him up.
That's right. And then just that last half inning, you saw Bobby Wilson thanking Jonathan Lucroy for accepting the trade to the Texas Rays, or declining the trade to the Indians, going to the Rangers, and now he could be back here with the Rays.
He can, on his off day, take his kids to school. It's a beautiful thing. Ground ball to short. Elvis Andrus makes the play. 2 outs.
I got to do that twice
this past week.
That's right.
How was your time off?
Cool.
You feel refreshed? I mean, there's 43 games left, so it's kind of like the final.
Yeah, I feel like I'm coming out a little too hot here tonight, and that's fine. I'll peel back.
You usually come out hot, though. It's good.
Yeah, but this is day game hot, and it's not a day game.
It's a different level.
Yeah, it's a little different level for a night game, but it was good. Outside of the air conditioning, being out in the house up there, which is never fun. I was out in the house here a month ago. That was not fun. But you take care of those things. You get the kids off to school, and it was fine. It goes fast though. You think you got a couple of days, and you blink a couple of ball games later, and you're right back.
Here's Nick Franklin getting his first at bat after taking over in the outfield. Kevin Kiermaier left the game after the second inning.
Hey, you know what? You're right. I'm being reminded by the truck that when we were out in Arizona, my hotel room out in Arizona had no AC. That's when we got on Westy a little bit on air.
Sounds like a trend.
Yeah.
Fly ball to right. Mazzara makes the play, and he drops it, but he had the catch, and that'll do it for the Rays. We'll talk more about that when we come back.
Yeah.
AC has been an issue for BA. More on that later.
Inning and Matt Andriese, we talked about him bouncing back and getting back on that winning track, and he's been outstanding here tonight. Been good with the fastball, especially up in the zone. Starting to challenge these hitters up in the zone with the heater, and obviously, as you see those last 3 strikeouts, having a lot of success with it. Well, obviously, he will continue on with that. The key is to get yourself into those counts where that pitch becomes effective. That pitch does you no good if you're 2-0. No one's going to chase that 2-0, typically. 0-2, maybe.
Misses the first 2 pitches to Carlos Beltran to lead off the 4th.
And the way things are going for me, he'll throw a heater here at the letters, and he'll swing at it.
Beltran.
Watch. It's going to happen.
Nope. 2-1.
Well, maybe that was the one you did want to swing at. That was right down the middle, about belt high.
Beltran, the addition as well. We mentioned Lucroy earlier in the game, coming over from the Yankees. Beltran still leads the Yankees in home runs and RBIs by a good margin. He's got a 6 home run lead over Didi Gregorius and a 10 RBI lead, and he's been gone for over 2 weeks now.
Do you think he checks out those stats and just snickers to himself?
I think he's real happy.
I'm still the best player on that team.
I think he's been real happy with the transition as Miller will flip to Andriese. And there's 1 out. Time for an update on Kevin Kiermaier. What do you have for us, Rich?
Todd, it was a precautionary measure with KK leaving the game. The word from Ron Porterfield is that he has some left hip tightness. So left hip tightness is what pulled KK from the game. It was a precautionary measure. So obviously post-game we'll hear from Kevin Cash on that, and we'll follow up as follows, guys.
Well, there's no question we knew it was something, because the one thing you can count on with Kevin Kiermaier is he comes out of the box hot. I don't think we've ever seen him maybe jogging out. He jogs out to center field harder than he ran down the first base line there, so you knew something was wrong.
So tightness left hip. Kiermaier will be watched, and hopefully we'll be back later on in this series, but we'll just kind of follow that along. Franklin in the game from here on out. 1 out. Adrian Beltre, the hitter, swing and a miss. It's 1-1. And Andriese was originally drafted by these Texas Rangers. That happened right out of high school in 2008 out of Redlands East Valley High School in California. Strike, it's 1-2. At that point, he was a 6'2", 170-pound senior. He said, maybe I need to go to college to refine my pitching and gain a little weight.
Mix in a burger.
Mix in a burger or two. So he ends up going to UC Riverside. Gets drafted by the Padres after that. 3rd round selection in the draft 3 years later. So he went from a 37th round to college and ends up in the 3rd round.
Smart decision. And you come out a lot of times a little bit more mature, you know, going off to live on your own for the first time and have to deal with things as an adult. Sometimes coming right out of high school into pro ball can be a challenge.
Beltre reaches out and serves a single into right field. That was on a 2-2 count. And Adrian Beltre has 2 hits tonight, 2 of the 3 for the Rangers.
Yeah, both the other way. One against the shift on the ground. This ball down and away. Got to protect, because that ball is close enough to be called. And look at the plate coverage by Adrian Beltre. And he just soft serves and drops that ball out into right field. I'll tell you, he's one accomplished player, both offensively and defensively. A lot of times you think about his power. Tonight he's getting it done with the singles.
Signed an extension with the Rangers earlier this year, so he's got another 2 years with Texas. All-time active leader in games played now that Alex Rodriguez has called it a career. Here's Rougned Odor, ground out his first time up.
I love the scouting report on him. Long swing, short punch. It is. That's the scouting report. We have video to back it up.
Are you talking about the Rangers Blue Jays?
I'm just saying that's the scouting report. The swing is long, the punches are short.
Line drive foul.
Hey.
Last year there was a bat flip in the playoffs.
There was. So you know what? Matt Bush comes out and says, how about 96 in your ribs? You knew this was going to happen. And then how about that? The push, and there's that short right. I'll tell you, you got to give Jose Bautista credit for not going down. That is a well-landed right by Rougned Odor. And I'll tell you, it got interesting out there in the outfield. There were some body slams and tackles That's a real baseball fight. That's a minor league baseball fight. Usually at the big league level, it's a lot of jawing and pushing and leaning into one another. They got after it that time.
Things really escalated quickly.
Well, they did. Well, you knew they were going to at some point hit Bautista. You knew that if there was a potential play at second, he was going to go in hot. That's what you do. He went in hot, passed the bag. This guy's not going to put up with it. And it was some words, a push, and then he wasted no time going to the right cross, and he caught him clean.
Glass is flying.
Helmet.
1-2 the count on Odor. Pop up just beyond the infield. And right there to make the play is Matt Duffy. $2 Kids Ticket Tuesdays presented by Morgan Auto Group is back on Tuesday, August 23rd when the Boston Red Sox come to town. All kids 14 and under get $2 tickets with the purchase of a full price paid adult ticket. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit raysbaseball.com/specials. Boston Red Sox come in after Texas. Things do not get very easy for the Rays from here on out. They are starting tonight the beginning of the gauntlet. 36 consecutive games against teams above 500, vying for the playoffs.
And that's it. And the vast majority are teams that are eyeing a division crown or the wild card. So they're desperate. They need to win. And so it will be a challenge. You'll find out a lot about this Rays team, the makeup of it, during this next, well, very difficult stretch.
Pop up, Miller giving it a look, but it's into the crowd.
You know, and that's something that these guys will take pride in. Okay, let's control the races, and we can do that by going out and beating certain teams. You know, right now the Rangers 7 games in front of the Mariners, and so they're going to go at them as hard as they can. Look at the Rangers' remaining opponents. Second easiest, and the Rays the toughest in the game.
Now, the Rays do not play a team under 500 until the penultimate series of the season when they go to Chicago to take on the White Sox. And then after that, they wrap up the season with these guys, the Rangers. Here's a pop-up. This one is playable. Bobby Wilson puts it away against his former team. And that'll do it. We are through 3.5 scoreless. Infinity Scarf presented by Geico. Tomorrow, all fans get the scarf while supplies last. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit raysbaseball.com now. Rays up. Tomorrow will be Jake Odorizzi on the mound for Tampa Bay.
I think that's 2 great reasons to come out. Jake is throwing the ball
exceptionally.
Yeah, I mean, better ERA-wise, better than anybody right now. And the infinity scarf, pretty stylish.
Solid. It's a good combo. Evan Longoria leads off for the Rays and takes a pitch for ball 1. 1-1 the count. Longoria, the one guy that faced Cole Hamels during that 08 World Series. It's still on the team. As you said, it's a long time ago. Evan now playing in his 9th Major League season. Drives the ball to right field. Mazara back to the wall, and he makes the catch. Didn't have to jump, and he makes the catch right against the wall.
You know, and it almost looked like Mazara hit the wall first. And we talk about that a lot when you're tracking a ball back there. You think you've got it, and all of a sudden the body bangs into the wall before the ball gets there. It moves the glove, and then that ball has a chance to fall in. But good plate coverage there by Evan to drive that pitch that was away and down. And yeah, he absolutely hit that wall first, but still maintained concentration and put it away.
So hit well, but recorded as an out. Rays still looking for their first hit against Cole Hamels. Brad Miller walked his first time up, and it's 1-0. Well, 2 half innings ago, I teased that you would talk about your air conditioning problems. So I don't want to leave the fans hanging. I know there's a lot of people that may have left our broadcast and have now come back. So what did you have for us?
What are you talking about?
You had AC problems.
I've had a lot of AC problems.
Okay, that's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
in the last month, air conditioning unit, the house in Florida, gone. Air conditioning unit, the house up in Cleveland area, not could repair that one. Didn't have to fully replace it. Air conditioning unit out in 2 cars at the same time. And then had the air conditioning unit, of course, in Arizona.
The hottest city in America.
Yeah, right. And
Phoenix.
middle of the afternoon, I've got that thing cranking out as high as it can, and my room is measuring at 94 degrees. That's when Chris Westmoreland came up into the booth in Arizona. And
Called you high maintenance.
Yeah. Just flat out said, you know what? Listen.
And I've seen you sweat on the pregame show, so I know you need that AC going.
You remember the pregame?
Oh.
Okay, you remember
headband.
the Saturday afternoons out on the.
Do I?
Yeah, the pavilion. I had to wear a headband.
It was a unique look.
Oh, if you take the headband off, it looks like a crime scene when things are done. So
So you like AC more than most.
It's number 1 on the list.
3-2 the count on Brad Miller.
I've had no luck with the AC.
And down goes Miller swinging. Cole Hamels picks up strikeout number 4. Cole Hamels has been really good tonight.
Well, we talked about his ability to mix pitches, to command the strike zone. Here comes that changeup. Very good. We'll throw it obviously to righties and lefties, as you see right there to Brad Miller. Uses the cutter, and he can command his pitches. I mean, he's a solid, beyond solid, a very good veteran pitcher, not only with his stuff but with his mind. Understands sequencing, understands how to set a hitter up, how to use one half of the plate to open up the other half of the plate. Savvy.
On the ground off the bat of Duffy, foul. Beltre makes him throw just in case. Well, the Rays are coming off this stretch of 4 games beginning at Yankee Stadium where they put up 37 runs. 35 of them were in the first 3 games. They got 2 runs last start against Christian Friedrich of the Padres. That was on a Brad Miller home run.
Yeah.
And that was it. So first inning of the Padres finale on Sunday, the Rays get 2. Since then, they haven't scored. Tonight, they don't have a hit.
How many runs the first couple of games of that?
35-3.
35-3. They were tired, or they were worn out. You score that many runs and that many extra base hits. Their last 4 games, they have more extra base hits than more than half of their hits have gone for extra bases. Those bats, they'll take the toll. So they're a little bit tired.
Slice down the line and right. This will be another foul ball. Duffy just missed by about a foot. a 1 or 2 RBI double, depending on if the ball would have stayed in play.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. If it hops over the wall, but with the runners running in contact with 2 outs, boy, you have a chance to have a much different looking game right now.
Cole Hamels, since the All-Star break, has been very solid. 3-2 with a 1.96 ERA. After a 2-out walk to Brad Miller in the first, Hamels has retired the last 9. Missed inside, the count's 2-2 on Duffy. Duffy back in the lineup tonight. Logan Forsythe a night off. Logan tried a little bit of a workout earlier today before the game. Giving him an extra day. Tried to hold up, did Duffy. He went around, says the first base umpire and crew chief Gary Cederstrom, and that'll do it for the Rays in the 4th. Still scoreless. Looking for their first hit. Our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. The A's 65 years ago today, Eddie Gaedel walked in his only major league plate appearance.
Was that against the Rays? Because you can see they're going elevated heat around it. I'm going to tell you what. You run up a guy that's 3 feet 7 inches tall to hit against me, and I'm going to try to hit him.
Are you going right at him?
I'm going back carnival days. I'm thinking about the stuffed animal with the AC/DC plate, and I'm going at him.
That would have been interesting if he charged the mound then.
Like the 100-meter hurdles, right over the top.
Here's Mitch Moreland leading off the 5th. This ball is hit well to left field. New left fielder in the game, Corey Dickerson, looks up and it's gone. Opposite field home run for Mitch Moreland. His 21st home run of the season, and the Rangers are on the board first, 1-0.
That's one of the things that make Mitch Moreland dangerous is his ability to go the other way, and he's got enough power, as we just saw, to be able to get it done. And in a game that's been nip and tuck the entire way, he gets a breaking ball there that stays up. He gets a good read on it, gets good extension, and then, of course, follows that up with carry.
So the first run allowed by Matt Andriese is a home run. Moreland now with 21 home runs and 50 runs batted in on the season. Nomar Mazara fouls one off, 0-1. There's the new left fielder. This is the 3rd left fielder for the Rays in the game, and we're only in the 5th inning.
Yeah, I mean, for too many, I don't know what the reason.
You wonder if that
maybe
knock in the head is still affecting Nick Franklin.
Well, you know what? It's a great point.
Pop up left side, Evan Longoria puts it away.
seems right now for the Rays, some nagging injuries that are lingering.
Yeah, you would have hoped coming off the off day that things were okay with Nick, and we still don't know what it is, but that's why he left the game prior to the off day on Wednesday. But you have Logan Forsythe with a back injury. There's Logan. Luke Maile right now is your true only healthy guy on the bench, other than pitcher.
Yeah.
Because we've already seen Kiermaier leave the game, and now Nick Franklin has left the game.
And that's where you get into that, decision time. Is he going to be able to go, or whoever the guy may be you're thinking of, or do we have to disable this guy to get some healthy guys here? It's tough to play 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row with one healthy guy on the bench and everybody else, a question mark. So that's where it gets frustrating, for Matt Silverman, for Kevin Cash. Not hurt enough to go on the DL, but if there's enough guys that aren't hurt enough to go on the DL, someone's going to have to.
Right now, I mean, your backup catcher is it. You never like to use him if possible. They had to use Luke Maile on Wednesday as the first baseman after Franklin had to leave the game because Forsythe wasn't available. Duffy could have been available in an emergency that day, but they wanted to give him back-to-back days off, so he was not playing that day.
Yeah, and guess what? With the Achilles issue, you just don't want to push it.
Nope.
You just do not want to push it.
So as we approach the final 43 games, the Rays dealing with some health issues with their position players. 1-2 the count to Elvis Andrus. Home run to lead off the 5th inning. That's the difference in the game right now. 1-0 Texas. In the 3rd, it's 2-2. Moreland hit a curveball that really didn't go where Matt Andriese was hoping.
No, he's hoping to get that curveball with some bite, on the outer half, and that's it's a good pitch. It's a good idea. And then it comes down to execution. That pitch stayed up enough, and a curveball stays up. A hitter, he's away from the arm, left-handed hitter, recognizes it, and then it's got the power. He's able to lift it right out of here. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Matt Andriese, and that's been the issue for him here recently.
Andriese up to 67 pitches. 1 out here in the 5th. That's now 8 home runs issued by Matt in 23 innings. And you mentioned earlier he had gone 67 prior to that with only 2. So they have come in bunches lately. Now the count's full. On the Ranger shortstop, Elvis Andrus. Missed upstairs, and that's a 1-out walk.
What were one of the things that we were talking about that Matt Andriese was doing well here tonight was elevating the fastball. Now, he wasn't that much of a guy elevating early in the season. Very good ground ball rate, worked a lot down in the zone. Here more recently, we've seen him elevate more than he had earlier. Well, when you start to elevate and they don't quite get to where you want them to be,
it's a fine line.
It is. And once you start to change your sights and elevate with the fastball, well, all of a sudden that same release point with the breaking ball stays up, stays hittable. And so it's a risk reward. You're going to get your guys swinging through that heater up. But if you're not really good with it each and every time, you're going to give up a lot of home runs too. I mean, how many times, how many of the Rays starters have we said you look at their home run rate and it's the highest of their career? A lot of elevated fastballs too, a lot of success, but you're going to give up some long balls while you're at it.
Top of the order, Jurickson Profar is the hitter. Check on first. Elvis Andrus has 16 steals in 23 attempts. Second on the team behind Ian Desmond.
Well, we know that teams have attempted to run against Matt Andriese with a lot of success. 11 for 11. That has been one issue, is controlling the running game. And
pitches away, 1-0. Those elevated fastballs were effective in that San Diego series.
Yeah.
Padres left town swinging at and missing at a lot of elevated fastballs. They scored 3 runs in 3 games. former Padre, Matt Andriese.
Well, the Rays do such a wonderful job of putting together scouting reports for their pitching staff. And it comes down to, if these guys can execute it, you're going to have success. That's the bottom line. And we've seen that recently. You know, you look at this team's ERA, you know, both overall and just from the starting pitchers since the All-Star break. You know, I mean, about as good as you can get.
Jim Hickey dialed up quite a game plan against a team that he doesn't get to see much, the Padres, and it worked out well in a 3-game sweep. 2-0 the count. Check on first. Jurickson Profar will get a chance to lead off now against right-handed pitching. They'll give Delino to Shields the leadoff spot against lefties, but for the rest of the season they'll be without Shin-Soo Choo. Hit by a pitch. Out until at least the playoffs. There's a swing and no contact. 2-1. So Profar and DeShields, two of the younger players on the team, will get a chance to be the leadoff hitter. It's been an injury-plagued year for Choo.
Yeah, he had just come off the disabled list a couple weeks before that. These youngsters getting a chance to be table setters for this lineup. They got more powerful.
Foul back. Andrews is on the run. He will head back.
Well, now that you have a lead to play with and a pitcher on the mound who teams have attempted to run against, now you try to get creative, put guys in motion, put a little bit of pressure on here.
Fly ball right field. Souza drifts to his left, puts it away for the second out. So Profar now is 1 for 3. Here's Ian Desmond. Desmond has popped up and struck out. Andriese so far has struck out 4, none since the 3rd. He's allowed 4 hits. And the walk this inning to the number 9 hitter, Elvis Andrus. Strike, 0-1. Out of play, 0-2. Note on that Orioles game, they had 4 home runs before an out was recorded. In Major League Baseball history, since records have been kept, 1900, that's never happened. 4 home runs before there was an out recorded by Colin McHugh.
See, at least when it happened to me, I got an out.
You did.
Yep. Take that.
That's what we're talking about.
Take that.
Winning record guy, thanks to Johnny O. Add the postseason.
No. Mediocre guy. No. Evened up. Not unless non-losing.
Non-losing. 0-2 pitch is grounded towards the middle and through into center field. Andrews takes the turn. He'll head to third. A chopping single off the bat of Ian Desmond. The ball gets away, and here comes Andrews. Save. Andrews never stopped. They were just getting the ball back into the infield. Andrews never stopped, and he scores all the way from first on a chopping single to center.
And you're hearing some boos here, and you understand why. Yeah, you're right. Chopping single to center here with 2 outs. And Andrus off and running. Now right here he's going to challenge Matuk out there in center field and keeping his eye on everything. And now he says it's worth the gamble. And he's able to sneak in under the throw and the attempt of a tag. Well, that's aggressive base running by Elvis Andrus. But look at him, never taking his eye off the play and saying, if it's going to get lazy in the middle of the field, I'm going to score. and that's why.
Wow. Ball never got away. It was a lob throw into second. Here's a ball into left field. Corey Dickerson comes on to make the play, and the Rangers steal a run on the bases. Elvis Andrus scores from first on a ground ball single to center. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Logan Morrison will lead off for the Rays here in the 5th. Tampa Bay trailing 2-0. Takes a called strike from Cole Hamels. Rays looking for their first hit of the night. Evan Longoria reached on an error. Brad Miller reached on a walk, and that's been it against Hamels. 0-1 the count to Morrison. Now he's down 0-2.
There's that late life on the fastball where he's able to throw it in on a left-handed hitter, and then that late little run almost takes it behind him. And you get the swing and a miss. And now you got to be aware of that pitch that opens up the outer half if he chooses to go out that way and stay in on it though.
Rangers scored 2 in the top half of the 5th inning. One was on a home run by Mitch Moreland, his 21st of the year, and the other run came courtesy of some very aggressive base running on the part of Elvis Andrus, who scored from first, not running on the pitch.
No.
Scored from first on a single to center field. Just a piece for Logan Morrison to stay alive.
Well, it just got a little sloppy on the throw back in, a lob back in. Now, you know, a lot of guys running to third aren't looking for that. But Elvis Anderson, we saw that one shot of it. He's looking back the whole way, and as soon as he saw Mikey Matuk lob that ball in, just realized it comes down to timing. The ball's going to be up in the air for a while before it gets to Beckham. I've got a chance to go 90 more feet, and that's exactly what he did. And that's a run that should never have been given up.
You really can't charge an error on the play, so it's unfortunate it goes as an earned run against Andriese, even though he gets the next batter and would have gotten out of that inning with only one run had the Rays been more efficient getting the ball back into the infield.
And you could see Mikey Matuk right there shaking his head, leaning up against you, just still thinking about that play, and realizes, you know.
That's normally what Kevin Kiermaier does to other teams, is what Andrus did to the Rays there.
Yeah. Yep.
Taking the extra base, putting pressure on the D.
You put pressure on defense, you get mistakes. We talk about it all the time. There was a mistake made there, and that pressure leads to a run in what is now a 2-0 ball game.
Logan Morrison grounded out his first time up. Hamels has struck out 5. He has only worked out of the stretch for a couple of batters, and that's in stark contrast to his last start against the Tigers, where he had 17 base runners in 7 innings of work. And he gets Morrison for strikeout number 6. B.A., take us through what happened with Andrus scoring the run.
Well, here he is, 2 outs, ball's chopped up the middle. He's going to go, he's going to read it, realize it's a chopper. Now I'm going to head to third, but I'm going to keep my eye on it. And as soon as I see that ball right there, you could see it. He turns it up as soon as the ball was lofted in, realizing there was going to be 0 time for that ball to get down to Tim Beckham and for him to wheel and throw an accurate throw to get him at the plate. He took a gamble there, but he took a gamble because he kept his eye on the play and took advantage.
Here's Tim Beckham, tries to bunt, pops it up, and Beltre makes the play. Hamels thought he had a shot at it, but he deferred to his 4-time Gold Glove third baseman.
Yeah, and good thing too, because Beltre was coming in hot. Miscommunication there, and your pitcher gets bulldozed. Right here comes Beltre. Man, I mean, if he doesn't pull off, you just get smoked.
The 2 outs now in the 5th. The Rays still looking for their first hit. Steven Souza Jr. will be the batter. That was a really good look at Andrus, because I would say 99% of the runners who are going first to third there are not looking behind them at the center fielder.
No.
That was he's not relying on anybody but his own eyes, looking directly behind him from where he is running. And you hardly ever see that.
No, that's a veteran ball player. You know, that's a guy who's been around, understands the game, has some baseball IQ, and is just keeping his eye on it. Keeping his eye on it, and as soon as he saw that ball come out of the hand soft with a lob, said, there's no time for them to complete this play, and I'm going to try and score. And it's going to take a perfect bullet throw by Beckham right on the plate and a perfect tag. It's probably not going to happen, and caught everybody by surprise.
He essentially stole home, basically, is what it works out to. 2 strikes, 2 outs. Pitch in the dirt to Souza. It's 1-2.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's not going to matter if the Rays offense doesn't get going. And Cole Hamels right now in complete control. I mean, working the entire strike zone and working the entire. You know, it's one thing to work the entire strike zone. It's another to do it with a purpose, and that's what he's doing here tonight.
2-2 the count. The Rays have seen Andrus take advantage of heads-up base running before in this building in the playoffs, scoring on a ground ball, pitcher covering at first from second base.
Which is one of those plays that you work on in spring training all the time.
Called third strike on the outside corner. Hamels is through 5. Rays still looking for their first hit. With the Rangers leading 2-0, Cole Hamels has been unbelievable. Just a walk, 7 strikeouts, and a big 0 in the hits column. Hamels has been in control from the start. And he had some offense from Mitch Moreland with a solo home run in the 5th inning, his 21st of the year. That was followed with some aggressive base running that scored the 2nd run.
Yeah, I didn't even want to talk about this play anymore. I think we've covered it pretty well, but here you go, Elvis Andrus taking a peek and then off to the races.
Got hit rather easily.
Yep.
Great heads-up play by the shortstop for the Rangers. Here's Adrian Beltre. He has given Andrus some problems tonight. A couple of base hits to right field, 2 of the 5 hits allowed by Matt. In the dirt, it's 2-0. Beltre mentioned the active leader in games played. He's 2nd amongst active players in hits in his career. And assuming he stays healthy, which he has throughout his career, he should get to 3,000 sometime next year. Called strike. It's 2-1.
Yeah, that you got to start talking Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Right.
4 Gold Gloves.
Right.
3,000 hits. Currently 3rd amongst active players in home runs behind Ortiz and Pujols. Outside 3-1. Here are the numbers.
Well, and look at not only the 4 Gold Gloves. How about 2 Platinum? All-Star, Silver Slugger, 432 bombs. We've seen some of those hit from his knee. Take a knee.
Yep.
And hit the ball out.
This ball is driven well to center field. Matuk back all the way to the wall. Leaping up, it's gone. Clears the center field fence. Adrian Beltre adds to those career totals with his 19th home run of the year. And it's 3-0 Rangers.
Oh, the ball well struck by Beltre, and it looked like Mikey Matuk had a play on it. That looked like one of those where you jump back into the wall, make contact with the wall before you can get the glove and the arm fully extended, because there was going to be a shot to make a play here. Just a poorly located fastball driven to center field, and then Matuk going back there trying to make a circus catch, and watch him hit the wall early right there, and that keeps him from fully extending. See that a lot. Lost a playoff game watching that happen one time back with the Diamondbacks.
Really?
Against the Mets. Extra inning game. Todd Pratt, dead center. Steve Finley gets back to the wall, jumps up, catches his right shoulder on the wall, can't get the glove up, and the wall scrapes to end it. Very similar.
Here's Odor, fouls back to the screen. It did look like, had the jump been timed right, and we've seen Kiermaier rob some home runs, it had a potential to be kept in the ballpark.
No question. No question. It was just, Mikey jumps back. Those are tough plays.
Right.
The great ones, and they don't make every single play like that, but the great ones make that play look easy when it's anything but. The timing has to be perfect, but the opportunity was there. It was just all of a sudden he catches the wall, and once that shoulder hits the wall, you can't fully extend. And right there, he cuts himself off, and that ball drops on the other side.
So Odor grounds out for the first out. 85 pitches in for Matt Andriese. A couple of solo home runs and a hustle base running play by Andrews, or the 3 runs allowed by Matt.
A play like that really highlights when guys do rob home runs.
How good Kiermaier is.
Well, anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kiermaier obviously in that group, and anybody that does it. But the timing has to be perfect. The jump perfectly timed. You got to get the jump on the actual, on the ball off the bat to get back there to the wall. Time everything perfectly. Go up and over a wall 7, 8, 9 feet high.
Duffy to his left, off his glove, and Lucroy will reach. That's a base hit.
First baseman, Mitch Moreland.
Lucroy with an infield hit.
I had to range a long way and take a deep angle out towards the outfield turf. And I don't know if he's able to catch that spin and throw. He's going to get him anyway. Awfully deep there up the middle.
So the guy that started the scoring for the Rangers is at the plate now, and Mitch Moreland, opposite field home run his last time up. Called strike, 0-1. Couple of solo home runs allowed tonight by Andriese. Moreland his 21st, Beltre his 20th. This Texas Rangers team scores a lot of runs, but usually not as many on the road as they do at home in Globe Life Park. But they have potential up and down the lineup to produce runs. Either we saw Andrews in the 9 spot with his speed, and then you've got power all the way through the 8 spot in Nomar Mazara.
Because overall, when you look at the numbers on this offense, it doesn't really jump out at you. You know, runners in scoring position, they're second in the American League with a 279 average, but you know, runs per game, 5th in the AL. Nothing jumps out as elite, but Lucroy, Beltran, you know, some other pieces in this lineup maturing, coming on strong as of late, and that's where you see the danger.
It would not be shocking if this team leads the American League in runs scored in the final month, just because of what you said with the additions and Jeff Bannister trying to keep his team in front. They had a big lead for a while there in the AL West, saw it shrunk, and now it's back up to 7. At one point back in June it got up to 10 games. This ball sliced foul, long run for Dickerson, but no chance. They were 10 games up in the West in late June, and then saw that lead shrink all the way down to 2.5 games less than a month later at the end of July, and now they push that lead back up to 7.
And 6 in the loss column. You know, that's the one ultimately that matters, especially the closer you get to the end of the season, you start counting games. But, you know, that's why, you know, they were so aggressive at the trade deadline. You know, right now we've got a team we feel like can win the division. Let's make it a team that we know is going to win the division.
They play Seattle 7 times here at the end of the month in the beginning of September, so that could go a long way to determining the AL West champion. 2-2 the count to Moreland, runner on first, and 1 out. Rangers leading at 3-0. And now the pitch is away, 3-2, and the leash for Matt Andriese is probably getting a little bit short right now as he approaches 100 pitches.
We talked about it early in this game. Last 2 starts, 76, 76, now up to 94, and yeah, you've got to think that he is right down here at the very end of his evening. How about a ground ball double play and get out of this inning? That would be huge.
It would be one where Matt Duffy, getting used to a new position, will have to turn it out of the shift if it happens.
I'm not sure what that looked like. A piece of fruit.
On the run, Lucroy, doesn't matter because Mitch Moreland draws the walk. And speaking of the leash, that is the end of the night for Matt Andriese as Kevin Cash comes out of the dugout after the Mitch Moreland walk. And Andriese's night is done after 5 1/3 innings. 3-0 Texas. brought to you by Jeep, the official vehicles of summer, celebrating 75 summers of living for by forever. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealers. Matt Andriese goes 5 1/3 innings in his 4th start back from being in the bullpen. Well start overall. You can see he's responsible for a couple of runners on. 7 hits, 3 runs thus far, a couple of walks, a couple of home runs. First batter that Ryan Garten will face is Nomar Mazara. Upstairs from Garten, 1-0.
And Matt Andriese's final line, and it's not done yet, not indicative of how he pitched. I think at the end, that last walk, you start to get some fatigue. You know, he's at a pitch count he hasn't been at in months. And obviously that 1 run should have never scored.
Through the hole into right field, base hit. Coming in to score will be Lucroy, and it's now 4-0 Texas on the RBI single by the young right fielder Nomar Mazara. So that's another run tacked on against Andriese's line.
Now that ball moving in, and Mazara able to pull it, find an opening there on the right side.
And once again, here's Elvis Andrus. He walked and scored from first on a single to center field his last time up. Scoring the Rangers' 2nd run. Pitches away from Garten, 1-0. Check swing, slowly hit towards second. Nobody covering first. Miller went all the way over to try and make the play. Still getting used to playing first base. And late covering was Ryan Garten.
Yeah, you know, it's been sloppy. There's been some mistakes made. And you see right here, Brad Miller initially starts to head towards first base and now starts to chase down that ball as Garten realizes he's got to cover. By then it's a little bit too late. Brad Miller can't get back there. Garten can't get to the bag. You see him right there. He initially is going to go for the ball and then realize I've got to cover. Brad Miller vacates the position. That's just a feel for the position. You know, understanding where your second baseman is, what kind of range he has. If I go get that ball, I mean, if Brad Miller goes and fields that ball, what play can he make anyway? You know, those are the nuances of the position. It's not just catch and throw.
And you can understand Garten not covering because that's not a ground ball that normally he would cover.
Well, yes and no. A lot of times a ground ball to the right side, your instinct is to head there. They drill that into your head, you know, in spring training. But certainly that's more towards the second baseman.
Not far from the mound.
Right. And well, his first initial movement hard was, I'm going to field this.
Right.
And you realize, okay, it got by me. That's my second baseman. And then when he peeks up and sees Brad Miller is not at first base, right there he's thinking, oh, I have a play. Uh-oh, there's nobody at the bat. So that's a tough play, and it's again, it goes back to the nuances of playing first base and having that feel.
So now the bases are full of Rangers. Still just 1 out. And Jurickson Profar, the leadoff hitter, at the plate. Big spot for Garten and the Rays to try and keep this within striking distance. As Cole Hamels has been on point all night, now with a 4-0 lead. Now it is 3-1. Garten facing the Rangers for the first time in his young career. See Ian Desmond's waiting on deck. That's ball 4, and that's a run. That one goes against the ledger of Matt Andriese, so his night will close out. As you said, 5 runs allowed, but
yeah,
he pitched a lot better than that.
He did. He really did, and that's unfortunate that he's going to end up with that line, 5+ innings, 5 runs. because he was much better than that. You can understand the frustration. First of all, your team's down, and I'm sure that Matt is thinking right now, listen, I was better than what this final line is going to show, and those are frustrating nights.
So conference on the mound, Jim Hickey and the entire infield will meet with the bases loaded, and now Ian Desmond, who is second on the team in RBIs behind Adrian Beltre, will bat with the bases loaded. Big swing, foul tip, 0-1. Desmond singled up the middle his last time up. At the time, it seemed like a ground ball single to move the runner from first to third, but it turned into an RBI thanks to the heads-up base running of Elvis Andrus. Off the end of the bat, 0-2. There's Andrus on second base. Zara on third, Profar on first. Garton trying to work out of a bases loaded situation here. High and away, it's 1-2. Ryan Garton pitched Tuesday. Perfect inning against San Diego. Breaking ball. Desmond does a good job to stay alive.
Well, you're not kidding, because that one had some bite to it. Middle of the plate down, and Desmond just catches a piece of it. That's going to prompt a visit here by Bobby Wilson, and Tim Beckham coming in. Maybe changing the signs.
In the dirt, blocked by the former Ranger Bobby Wilson. A couple of local kids right now as the battery for the Rays. Mitchell High School pitching, Seminole High School catching. Two the count. Excuse me, 3-2 the count. Desmond now has worked the count full. We've had a bases loaded walk to Jerks and Profar to make the score 5-0 Rangers. All these runs coming in the last 2 innings for the Rangers. 2 in the 5th, 3 so far here in the 6th, and a full count to Desmond. Called third strike, inner half.
Now they ran that fastball in. Foxtrax has that pitch just off the plate. I think Ian Desmond, in his own mind, had it just off the plate. Wants that ball in. And you know what? Close enough. Close enough that you've got to offer it that pitch. A pitch that's that borderline, you leave it up to the umpire behind the plate. Some are going to go your way, some are not.
So now 9th batter of the inning for the Rangers. Carlos Beltran takes a called strike, 0-1. Beltran did some damage against the Rays this year as a member of the Yankees. You can see what he has done in his career with the bases loaded. Fouled out of play. Garton ahead, 0-2. So after a base hit, little infield hit by Andrus, and a walk. Garton has a chance to get through after a strikeout of Ian Desmond, now trying to get Carlos Beltran for the final out of the inning. Beltran in 5 games with the Yankees against Tampa Bay this year hit home runs in 3 of those 5, including his last game as a Yankee in this stadium. It was July 31st, the trade deadline. Beltran would be moved the next day. 0-2 just stays alive. You saw Cole Hamels a moment ago working on a gem here tonight, but he has had a long stay in the dugout this half inning.
And that's when you raise the question, how sharp will you be going back out there? The one thing you could say about Cole Hamels, veteran, he's been in this situation before. He knows exactly what he needs, if anything, to make sure that he is sharp when that next half inning starts.
Garton gets Beltran swinging, so the Rangers leave the bases loaded, but they score 3 in the 6th and lead it 5-0. Sixth inning, tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Cole Hamels acquired from the Phillies at the trade deadline last year in an 8-player deal. You can see what he's done in a little more than a year with the Texas Rangers.
That's a pretty good pickup, huh? I mean, 19-5, the record outstanding, the ERA impressive, just over 3. You know, you're pitching in Texas, hot, ball carries. Pitching in what turned out to be a pennant race as you close out the division. He's no stranger to that. I'm doing the same thing again here this year.
Pitching very well on the road, as you talked about leading up to the ball game, as he has the best road ERA at under 2, and he has been pretty spot on tonight as he deals with his former catcher Bobby Wilson. Wilson sends one high in the air to left field. Profar comes in as he finds it in the roof for the first out here in the 6th inning.
And we know how tricky that can be for visitors. And now you're talking about a young player, you know, getting acclimated to playing left field. And here in this building, that can be tough. So your eyes have to find the baseball early, and you don't lose it. If you do lose it, a lot of times we've seen it drop in.
Be a 27 minutes, we are told by the esteemed Rick Odioso, between the last pitch of the 5th and the first pitch here in the 6th, as you look at the ERA numbers for Hamels, and those will be improved so far tonight through 5 1/3. And now a chopper towards third, long throw for Beltre in the dirt. Moreland scooped, and he stayed on the bag, says first base umpire Gary Cederstrom. That is 2 outs here in the 6th.
Yeah, that's a tough scoop right there on a ball that's bounced by Beltre. He's already had one misplay tonight on a throw. This one doesn't quite get there. May have done that on purpose, and you just wonder, is that foot, that toe of Moreland still on the bag? Yes, it is. Just as that ball gets into the back of the glove, the foot's still on the top of the bag, and
he has been very good all year long for the Rangers at those pick plays.
oh boy.
You wonder if Beltre had made the play to end the first, where we would be right now. Certainly, Hamels' pitch count would be better, and you never know what happens the rest of the inning. We'd possibly be talking about perfection at this point through 5 2/3, because that was an error that led to a walk, and since then, nothing else. Here's Corey Dickerson batting for the first time. He is the third left fielder in this game for the Rays. Kevin Kiermaier left the game due to tightness in his left hip. Nick Franklin left the game. Both played 2 innings. Still waiting word on Franklin. He did leave the game Wednesday after being hit in the head by the bat of Kevin Kiermaier. Here's a base hit. Corey Dickerson off the bench, first AB of the night, and the Rays have their first hit. 2 outs into the 6th inning.
Now that ball was struck well, finds an opening, 2-out hit. Cole Hamels not real happy. This ball down in the zone, and Corey Dickerson just hammers it into right field. You know, that's one of those things where you're just talking about, you know, that perhaps the error, if he makes the play there, maybe it's a perfect game going into this at bat, or certainly this part of the game. But I think it's one of those things where, okay, let's say that he retires him. Well, that may change the sequence of pitches that he's going to throw to Brad Miller the next half inning, and maybe there's a base hit there. You know, I mean, I think that everything happens, you know, for a reason. You get the error. Now you pitch Brad Miller a certain way. You walk him. Now you're going to go against Duffy a certain way. Those ways that you attack these hitters may change if there's nobody on base. If Brad Miller then, you know, goes back out to his position, then he comes back in a half inning later, different mindset, a different first pitch fastball by Hamels, and he hammers it up the middle. I mean, you know,
you never know, right? Exactly.
You don't.
Certainly the one thing we do know is he threw more pitches because of the error.
Oh, yeah.
As Evan reached in the first inning on that throwing error by Beltre, and Moreland saved Beltre a second error earlier this inning. So Corey Dickerson, who in essence was third on the depth chart in left field tonight, gets his first at bat against the lefty and picks up the Rays' first hit. There's a called third strike on the breaking ball. Hamels yells into his glove on the way off the mound as the Rays pick up their first hit. Other than that, he has been outstanding tonight as he picks up his 8th strikeout of the game, and we're through 6, 5-0 Texans. Brought to you by Jeep, the official vehicles of summer, celebrating 75 summers of living for by forever. By St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute, road-class care right in Tampa Bay. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Cole Hamels gives up the 1 hit, still shaking his head about that. We are in the 7th inning. Hamels was looking for his second career no-hitter, threw one his final start as a member of the Phillies, July 25th last year, becoming the only pitcher in Major League Baseball history to throw a no-hitter in his final start before a midseason trade.
And that could be, that's a lot of information there. That's good.
Go ahead.
That was good. No, I tried to digest all of it.
Last start before the midseason trade.
That's right.
No hitter. Hey, thanks for your services.
How about that? That's the way to lead.
Yes.
If you're going to go out, especially Philly.
That's a tip your cap.
They're so kind of.
Yeah.
Nice people.
I'm from Philly. Remember that.
Yeah. You're right. They kicked you out. You were too nice.
That's too nice.
You weren't mean enough to be in Philly full time.
Here's Adrian Beltre, who's 3 for 3 so far. Cole was also part of another no-hitter that involved one of his current teammates, Jake Diekman, who came over in that trade. Ken Giles and Jonathan Papelbon. They threw a no-hitter combined back in 2014 against the Braves. But not tonight. Corey Dickerson with the lone hit so far.
And when you see Cole Hamels as upset as he was when he gave up the hit, when the inning was over, even pacing in the dugout, you say to yourself, in his mind, he's either just so mad at the execution of that pitcher. I should say non-execution. Goodness.
There is another home run by Adrian Beltre. Line drive, home run to left. Beltre has 2 in the game. He is 4 for 4. 21 on the season. Beltre makes it 6-0 Rangers.
Well, it started out well. It had a pitcher's duel early on, and now the Rangers have taken complete control of this game. Adrian Beltre has gotten loose. That fastball, again, ends up in the middle of the plate, leaks back out there, and that was a no-doubter off the bat of the Ranger third baseman.
434 now in his career for Beltre. And he now ties as we send a ball deep to center field off the bat of Odor. This one's going to stay in play. Matuk corrals it right in front of the warning track. 434 in his career ties him for 45th all-time in Major League Baseball history with Juan Gonzalez and Andrew Jones. The next guy on the list can add to his total as Beltre tries to catch him, and that would be Miguel Cabrera, starting the day with 435. Here's Jonathan Lucroy. Infield single, struck out, popped up, 1 for 3. Rangers took the off day here in the St. Petersburg area yesterday. They played Wednesday night. Enjoyed a little time here in Tampa Bay and right into this series with the Rays. Texas is hot as anybody in the American League the last 25 games, 17-8, coming off a sweep of the Oakland A's prior to this series. Chop towards third. Longoria cuts it off in front of Duffy, and there's 2 away. Two outs, nobody on. And here's one of the guys with a home run, Mitch Moreland. Moreland started the scoring for the Rangers with a home run in the 5th. He now has 21. Beltre now has 21. Ian Desmond, the 2-hitter, has 20. Here is home run number 21.
No, just a breaking ball left away, and it was up a little bit. Moreland got a good look at it and able to pop it out. He's got that kind of juice.
Pitch is inside, and now Garton has fallen behind 3-0. So we mentioned Desmond 20, Beltre 21, Moreland 21, Beltran, although only 2 with Texas, but he has 24. Odor has 22. Lucroy, if you combine Milwaukee and Texas, has 20. they have a lot of guys who are going to end up near 30 home runs on the year in their lineup, all the way from the 2 spot through the 7 spot.
And then you combine that with the fact that this is a team that, you know, is 5th in the American League in stolen bases, so they can run on you a little bit. They have some power. 2nd in the American League batting average, runners in scoring position. They can be clutch, dangerous team.
And a lot of people thought at the deadline they need pitching. And you mentioned they added to the bullpen. They did not add to their starting rotation, but they made their offense good enough now that whatever deficiencies people could have perceived going into the trade deadline with their starting pitching, they can outslug people even at in a greater way now than they could have before the trade deadline.
There's no doubt about that, and let's not forget that this, you know, the ERA for the starting staff for the Rangers is 4th in the American League. So they're not like they're a bunch of chumps. You know, they're right there in the top 1/3 of the league.
They should get Derek Holland back soon. There he is. Maybe as early as Tuesday. Mazara swings and misses 1 and 2. Yu Darvish and Cole Hamels is quite a combination if you think about postseason play.
No question about it. Yu Darvish can take a game over. Cole Hamels, seeing what he's doing here tonight, add in the experience of having been there, done that. World Series MVP.
Garten gets the strikeout of Mazara to end the 7th, but another home run from Adrian Beltre, and it's 6-0 Rangers. Since being acquired in a trade, and so far tonight, BA, he has been very good as well.
Own the zone, and that's exactly what he's done. You see right there, being able to spot that fastball in, the breaking ball down and in. Another breaking ball right there. He starts wide of the plate. That's another thing that he'll do. Vary the speed and the break on the curveball. And then this pitch down. He's trying to go down and in, and that ball was down middle. And I think that's why Cole Hamels upset. I was going to get to that last half inning. When you get that upset for that long a period of time, you're either so mad at yourself because of, you know, not executing the pitch properly, or you're saying to yourself, this is one of those special nights. I had no hit stuff tonight, and I let it get away because I didn't execute a pitch. Instead of being down and in, it was down middle, and Dickerson could get to it.
And it was still down.
Yeah,
it was still not the easiest pitch to hit.
No, but Dickerson likes the ball down.
Right.
He wants to drop the head down. He wants to get the arms extended. Down and in right there with that late little movement, maybe he's able to sneak that by him and get the swing over the top. But down middle, Dickerson got the barrel to it, and off the bat, there was no chance for a play.
Brad Miller leads off for the Rays in the 7th inning. 1-1 to count to Miller. Brad's been a base runner once tonight as Brad Boxberger loosens up for the Rays. Miller walked in the first, also struck out. Taps one foul. It's 1-2. 8 strikeouts for Hamels, the 1 walk, the 1 hit. And that's it as we play here in the bottom half of the 7th. The game you pitched here The last time he was at the Trop, he lasted 7 innings in Game 1 of the World Series. Allowed a couple of runs in a Phillies 3-2 win over the Rays and Scott Kazmir. Off the end of the bat, down the line, Hamels fields, throws, Moreland can't pick it clean. Hamels is asking for help from Chad Whitson that maybe Miller was in the baseline or out of the baseline, but no call. Miller is safe at first to lead off the bottom of the 7th.
Well, and Hamels being left-handed is able to create an angle here. And so he turns, and that ball hits Brad Miller right on that left elbow.
We saw Mikey Matuk get called out for running out of the baseline, and this one was maybe more egregious because Miller goes out and back in.
He did. Well, he went into the running path to avoid Cole Hamels. Now watch this. He's going to get away from him and then curl right back up the line. You know, he's staying. But I'll tell you, that's the way you run the bases. You know, you don't run in that running lane and then reach out with your left foot. We've already beat that point to death. I don't know, last time I was up here. Toronto, I think. We're just crushing that one. But as long as you're running right up that baseline, that's how you're kind of taught to do it. But because he you know, had that little route, he was still right up the baseline, and that's typically okay.
Duffy lines one foul right in front of the Rangers bullpen.
You know, when you're running on the other side of the line towards the turf, and sometimes we've seen guys actually with a foot on the turf going up the first baseline. Okay, there you go. You can call that one, but running right up the chalk has always been fine, except that one time.
Except for that one time. And again, it looked fine to me. Matuk did less to get called out that night than Brad Miller did there because he avoided the collision and then he kind of took over where his left foot was inside the foul line.
Got to make a tough angle.
You got to.
It's making a play.
Little post pattern.
That's it. It's all about angles.
Ground ball to third. Beltre, Odor, Moreland in a double play. Matt Duffy grounds into a double play. Cole Hamels has been specializing in that this year.
Yes, he has, and so has this team. You just watched a Texas Rangers special. They have, coming into play, they had turned 25 more double play ground balls than anybody in Major League Baseball. I mean, it's not even close, and they get another one here tonight. And you're right about Cole Hamels being able to ring him up. I think that's number 16 on the season for him.
So just like that, Miller is cleared off the bases. And here's Logan Morrison. So the only hit allowed was, again, Corey Dickerson, who came in place of Nick Franklin, who came in place of Kevin Kiermaier. If you're Cole Hamels, how much had you looked at, if at all, Corey Dickerson before the game started for scouting report?
You know, if you had faced him previously, you know, you would have an idea. That's number one. But most of the time when you come in, you get the starting lineup. Those are the guys that you're specializing in going after. You know, how many times have we seen a pinch hitter come into a ball game, Jim Hickey pop out of the dugout? Okay, we haven't gone over this guy with you. So we're going to go out there and brush up on some things. You know, you sit in the meeting before the series starts and you go over everybody. But on your specific day, you're looking at the 9 guys that you're going to face. Now, in Corey Dickerson's case, with him coming into the game and now he's in the lineup, I'm sure that someone is going to go to Cole Hamels, or maybe Cole Hamels is going to say, hey, listen, Dickerson's in the game now. I'm going to be facing him. What do we have on this guy?
They'd only seen each other one other time, and it was a walk, so not much of a history between those two.
No, not at all.
Corey Dickerson with the Rays' lone hit prior to the Brad Miller chopper up the line. That was ruled a base hit. And it's 2-1 on Morrison. Down the count, 2-2. Coming into this game, he had not thrown too many changeups against lefties, but tonight he has been effective a couple of times with that pitch.
Yeah, and part of the game plan. He's got a willingness to do it, and you know, it's just been one of those nights. He's picking the right pitches, and all but one time picking the right spots. You see him right there. You know, shaking, now stepping off. He's got an idea. He already knows what he wants to do here, and trying to get on the same page with Lucroy as they continue to work together.
tries to shoot the corner, misses. It's now a full count on Logan Morrison.
And you saw the way he snatched the ball back from Lucroy. That's because he knows I've got him set up for this fastball. And if I execute it, it's strike 3, and this inning is over. And he pulled it just a little bit. So you're ticked off that you missed that location because you had the right pitch in the right spot.
Hamels right now at 93 pitches. 2 outs into the 7th inning. Working with a 6-run lead. And that is ball 4. Hamels started to walk off the mound thinking his inning was over. Wants to find out from Chad Whitson where that pitch missed. And Logan Morrison a 2-out walk.
Well, Fox Tracks had it right at the top of the zone. You know, sometimes even though, you know, that may have been, you know, in that strike zone, when you get a catcher, look where his body's at, Lucroy. When you reach outside of the torso, a lot of times it doesn't present well, and all of a sudden you don't get the call. Just like sometimes we've seen guys sit up on the edge. You throw it right in the middle of their chest, that ball's actually off the plate, but it looks real good because you hit the center of your target and you do get the call.
So Morrison on with 2 outs. Morrison could end up, it all depends on how much playing time he gets down the stretch. He could end up leading the team in walks even though he hasn't played for a long stretch due to the injury. It's one thing Logan did during the course of his struggles early in the year. He still took those walks and never really expanded the zone, even when he was in an RBI situation and he was sitting on 0 for a while. Tim Beckham swings and misses 1-1.
Yeah, that takes a lot of discipline, you know, because typically what happens when things aren't going well for you, you expand your zone. You start to swing at everything because you want to make something happen. So to be able to stay disciplined, take your walks, and then eventually, you know, he started to turn things around, got hot for a while.
Chop foul. First bullpen action of the day for the Rangers. Rangers have an unusual setup in their bullpen in that everybody stands until a guy starts warming up, and then they all sit down. Not sure what that's like a little superstitious thing. But that's what they were doing earlier today. Saw Tony Barnett loosening up. Called, 3rd strike, final out of the 7th inning. Cole Hamels has a shutout through 7 at 6-0 Texas. Take a look at our PNC game summary. Texas with 2 in the 5th, 3 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. This game was a pitcher's duel for a while between a couple of 35s, Cole Hamels and Matt Andriese, but Hamels has taken control, and the Rangers offense picking up 6 in the last 3 innings as Brad Boxberger takes over as the third Rays pitcher. Boxberger has done well since coming back from the disabled list for the 2nd time. 6 consecutive scoreless so far since his reinstatement July 29th. He'll face the number 9 hitter Elvis Andrus, and then back to the top of the order for the Rangers. Andrus has been on base twice, an infield single on the right side of the infield, and a walk, and he scored a run on a ground ball base hit up the middle, scoring from first base. That was the 2nd run of the game for the Rangers. They have tacked on 4 more and lead it 6-0. Boxberger appeared against the Padres on Monday, first game of that series. 1 inning, no runs, a couple of walks. Chopper towards third. Longoria on the move. That throw is solid for the first out of the 8th.
I had everything timed up perfectly. Get it, throw it. Not going to let Elvis Andrus beat you again on the base pass. You saw him right there. Into the glove, get it out, and on the money with the throw. Love how he just fades that ball. You get rid of it so early, let that little fade take it right back to Brad Miller. Such a good feel for making all the difficult throws from the corner.
Called strike to Jurickson Profar. Profar walked with the bases loaded last time up. 1 for 3 with that RBI. Couple days back home, did you check out the Olympics?
I did, and I got way into it.
Good for you.
Yeah, way into it. It's tough with the schedule, you know what I mean?
Oh, during baseball, yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. But yeah.
0-2 pitch, high in the air, just beyond the infield. Matt Duffy puts it away, 2 outs. Well, Boxberger has retired the 2 batters he has faced so far here in the 8th.
Well, you're hoping for Brad that he can finish this year strong. What a frustrating year. You know, hurt early on, and you work your way back to Kansas City. We all know what happened there. 16 pitches in, he's hurt again. Another DL stint, and now finally back and healthy. Finish out strong and give yourself a nice head of steam heading in to 2017. How good he was for the Rays a year ago. 41 saves, led the league.
There is that Bugs Bunny changeup that makes him so effective.
Yep. I mean, he's got the fastball, not overpowering. It can be because of that changeup, you know. But boy, that thing just never gets there. And he throws it with good arm speed. That ball barely fouled off.
Pitch a little low, 1-2. On the ground, past Brad Miller in the right field, 2-out base hit for Ian Desmond. Matt Andriese had a 1-2-3 first inning, and since then the Rays haven't had a clean inning. Rangers with at least 1 base runner in every inning since, and that's a 2-out hit for Desmond. Hit number 11 for Texas.
You can see Brad Miller pulled off the line. He's got a chance to make that play. It's a tough hop to the backhand side, and it's able to skip by him into right field.
This ball's hit well to center field, but Matuk is back there and will make the play in front of the track. Beltran makes the final out of the inning, and that'll do it for Texas. They still lead at 6-0. Bottom half of the 8th inning. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We will hear from Jake Odorizzi as he gets the start on a Saturday night against Texas, and Arestis will break down Carlos Beltran's career as he has come over from the New York Yankees to the Texas Rangers and looking to make a splash in the postseason. Steven Souza Jr. will lead things off for the Rays, and he looks at a pitch for a ball, 1-0. Souza 0 for 2. He has been struck out twice, both times looking. 2 of the 9 strikeouts for Cole Hamels, who has been pretty much in control from the start. Called strike on the outside corner, 1-1.
The ability to go soft when you're behind in the count, that plays a big role. That's when you talk about pitchability. You know, 1-0 changeup, a 2-1 changeup, fastball away, fastball in.
This ball's hit deep to left field and gone. Steven Souza Jr. onto the tarp in left field beyond the seats. He crushes one for his 12th home run of the year. The Rays are on the board.
You can even throw in there the fastball down the middle, and those typically don't end up serving you very well. Steven Souza Jr. got one here. Actually, that's a changeup. When he rolled it over, that ball just didn't have anything on it. No movement, and really the change of speed did not fool Steven Souza Jr. As you see right there, all the timing of that swing was right on the money.
That is one of Souza's longer home runs hit in Tropicana Field. That is well struck when you clear the seats and the walkway.
Oh yeah, you tarp it.
So the Rays get their first run. They're down now 6-1. Bobby Wilson, the batter. Hamels has passed 100 pitches on the night. Right now at 103. And a couple of guys warming up in the Rangers bullpen, Alex Claudio and Tony Barnett. So Cole could be near the end of his night. Gives up his first run here in the 8th inning. Bobby tries to hold up, but he went around, and Wilson is struck out. That's now 10 for Cole Hamels.
And dropping that breaking ball down below the zone on Bobby Wilson, and gets another chase right there. Recognizes it, but a little bit too late, and can't hold up in time.
And Jeff Bannister, the manager, comes out. Cole Hamels ends up going 7 1/3 innings, allows just the 1 run. It's 6-1 Rangers. other starters after 7 1/3 innings of 3-hit, 1-run baseball. Ended the night with his 10th strikeout, walked a couple, 104 pitches, and he's our Quicken Loans rocket arms of the night.
Well, he was very good. I mean, like I said, it was a pitcher's duel early on, and he was spot on with pitch selection, pitch command, working the ball around the zone, changing speeds, keeping the ball down when need be, elevating other times. Good cutter right there. And then finally, this turned out to be a changeup middle away, where Souza Jr. could get extended. That would put the Rays on the board. Follow that up with the strikeout. Here he comes. What a nice night for Cole Hamels, and he continues his dominant pitching on the road.
And now he gives way to Tony Barnett, appearing in his 46th game of the year. Barnett will have the top of the order to deal with here. Mikey Matuk looking for his first hit tonight. Matuk's also looking for his first hit in a while. He's in an 0 for 20 right now. Barnett will feature a lot of different pitches. Lately it's been mostly the cutter and the split change. But also throws a sinker, a slider, a curveball, and a four-seam fastball.
Are there enough fingers?
I don't think so. I think that's why he's only going to the cutter and the split change lately.
Yeah. Well,
Jonathan Lucroy said, look, he's back.
But you can
Pick two, pick three maybe.
Right. You can do with the fastball though. You can go straight finger fastball. You can circle it, and that's your sinker.
Gotcha.
So there's 2 for the price of 1. Maybe you can get all 6 on one hand.
Up the end of the bat is 2-2. Well, Hamels came in as the top guy on the road in terms of ERA, and he leaves by bettering that ERA some. We mentioned this is kind of the beginning of the gauntlet for the Rays, playing 36 games against teams that are all vying for the playoffs above 500. 36 consecutive beginning tonight. Prior to the All-Star break, the Rays were last in the American League in run differential, -74. But since the All-Star break, the Rays have been the best in the American League at +54. So what happens over the last 43 games? This will be a true test for Tampa Bay. Broken bat, little flare into right field. Odor, the only one with a chance, and he can't make the play. Trying to make a basket catch and couldn't corral it on the second effort either.
Watch him right here. All off the bat, and off he goes. Got a beat on it. Gonna make a play. He gets there. And that ball, you know, as it travels right there, you lose sight of it. When that ball, or that glove is down by, you know, the belt down by the waist. And then you see it rattle around and pops out of there. Almost a heck of a play. Good effort.
It was right in the middle of his glove. Just popped out.
Well, you know, a lot of times though, if it doesn't end up, you know,
in the webbing,
yeah, it ends up in the middle of the glove, but off the palm, that's exactly what's going to happen. And those infield gloves are so small, they don't have a lot of margin for error.
Swing and a miss. There is that cutter or slider, and Matuk goes down swinging. 2 outs here in the 8th. Taking a look at the upcoming pitching matchups in this series. A couple of righties tomorrow. Jake Odorizzi and A.J. Griffin. Followed by a couple of lefties Sunday. Martin Perez and Drew Smiley. Middle series of this 10-game homestand. Boston will be in for 4 after that. Rays had a winning homestand last time, 6-4 in a 10-game homestand. Went on the road for 6 and were 2-4 in that stretch. Now they've started out this homestand 3-0, but down by 5 tonight with only 4 outs to work with. Here's the guy that had the Rays' first hit of the night, Corey Dickerson, batting for just the 2nd time. Dickerson came on in place of Nick Franklin after the 4th inning. First hit against Cole Hamels came 2 outs into the 6th. Little flare into shallow left field, long run. Profar, he won't get there. Dickerson who will head to second. Corey's 2 for 2 with a single and a little looping double.
Well, this is just no man's land. You can see where Profar was playing, how far he had to come, and then you get the little bit of a kick away from him. Corey Dickerson out of the box. He's thinking he's got a chance. That's how you get out of the box. And you get into second base standing up.
So now to be Evan Longoria with the Rays trailing by 5. Runner on with 2 outs and a little meeting on the mound. Barnett's a guy that started out in the Diamondbacks organization as a minor leaguer. Went to Japan for the last 6 seasons. Just came back this year. Tomorrow, MLB on FS1 is back with another huge matchup. Don't miss it when the hard-hitting Mets battle Buster Posey and the Giants in a crucial summer showdown tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Pitch for the Tokyo Yakult Swallows for 6 seasons. Not a lot of guys go away from the big leagues or the minor leagues for 6 years and then come back.
No.
A couple years.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, a year. Get reestablished, but 6?
Here's Evan Longoria with a count of 1-0, looking for his first hit. Reached on an error, hit a line drive to the wall and struck out. Called strike 1-1. There is Jake Diekman, acquired in the Cole Hamels trade last year from the Phillies. An 8-player trade, 2 heading to Texas, 6 heading to Philadelphia, or their minor league affiliates.
Does that qualify as a blockbuster?
That would be a blockbuster.
I don't think so.
I don't know what the total is to get it over. Ground ball towards the middle, into center field, base hit. Dickerson will score. It's now a 6-2 game. RBI number 73 on the year for Evan Longoria.
Well, he stayed up the middle is what he did, and you can see where Elvis Andrus was playing him. And this ball stays middle of the plate. Evans stays up the middle with it. And Andrus not able to get there.
So now the Rays, with Brad Miller at the plate, trail it by 4. A little meeting on the mound, which could be a delayed tactic, as you saw the lefty Diekman loosening up, and he had just started to throw a few minutes ago. So the Rangers are indeed going to go to the lefty now to face Brad Miller. Evan Longoria on first. Rays trail it 6-2 with 2 outs in the 8th. He returns this week with the hottest Western Conference rivalry in MLS. Don't miss as Clint Dempsey and the Sounders collide with Diego Valeri and the Portland Timbers this Sunday at 9:30 Eastern on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. They'll be revved up in the Pacific Northwest for that one.
Hey, listen, we've been up in Seattle, you know, at Safeco Field while a Sounders game was going on, and it's loud. They get into it up there.
Portland too.
Pac Northwest. They love their soccer.
Jake Diekman takes over game 52. Sinker slider guy. He's got a pretty solid sinker though at 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, and he throws way across his body. He creates angles, deception, and he's got great stuff.
Facing the lefty Brad Miller, and there is 94 low, ball one. Miller walked, chopped a single up the line against Cole Hamels, and also struck out 1 for 2. Rays trail 6-2. Runner on first, 2 outs in the 8th. There's a called strike.
Yeah, how tough is that pitch? You got a lower 3/4 arm angle with a mid-90s fastball, and you're stepping across your body to a lefty and then dotting the outside corner. You know, if you actually threw the ball where you stepped, Matt Duffy in the on-deck circle would be in trouble.
Chopper back to the mound. Big hop for Diekman, and he'll toss it to first, and that'll do it for the Rays. But they add 2 runs and now trail at 6-2 heading to the 9th. Much of the damage has been done by one Adrian Beltre in tonight's Buick GMC big matchup. Beltre with 4 hits and 2 home runs.
And I think he heard me early when I said usually you talk about Adrian Beltre's power. Tonight he's getting it done with the singles. He had 2 singles in his first 2 at-bats. And guess what? The next 2, here comes the power. Home run, home run. Heck of a night here for the Ranger third baseman.
Oh, Beltre will face a new pitcher, the Rays' 4th of the night, Danny Farquhar. Farquhar takes over for Brad Boxberger, who went a shutout inning in the 8th, only allowed a base hit. Ryan Garten also pitched after Matt Andriese. First pitch to Beltre is outside for a ball, 1-0. Breaking ball, Beltre backed out of there, and it's 2-0. Farquhar's been much better since being recalled this time. He's had a number of times with the Rays back and forth, but since his recall, he's gone 5 2/3 innings and picked up 10 strikeouts. Had a perfect 9th inning Tuesday against the Padres. That misses the zone. 3-1. Adrian Beltre does have 3 5-hit games in his career, but he has not had one since '08 when Cole Hamels took on the Rays in the World Series.
Coming full circle, Todd.
Swing and a miss at a high fastball. He won't have 5 hits tonight, unless there's a rally and we go extra innings. So Beltre retired for the first time, 1 out here in the ninth.
Well, that fastball, I don't know. Adrian Beltre, he does everything he can to try to get up that. I mean, that pitch takes Bobby Wilson right out of his stance.
That was, you could almost see him yelling as he was swinging through the pitch. What am I doing?
Yeah. That's exactly right. Hitters do it. Pitchers do it when you release a pitch. It comes off your fingers and you're like screaming for it to come back because you know that you're going to be asking for a new baseball. That's the odd thing. Just sometimes the way that the ball would come off your fingers, off your, out of your hand, you knew you were in big trouble. Before the ball even got to home plate, you're just like, this is not going to end well for me. Most of the time you were right.
Two and 1 the count to Rougned Odor.
And that's what he thought as he started that swing. This ball's at eye level. What are the chances?
Beltre, what a teammate he is. Just talking to Bobby Wilson and Kevin Cash independently, they both put him right at the top of the list of the best guys they've ever been around for a clubhouse. Always having a good time. Don't touch his head, though.
Yeah, well,
Don't
Prince
mess with the head.
Fielder, when he announced that he would no longer be able to play the game and had the neck brace on, he did touch the head because he knew that there was nothing Beltre could do about it. That's about the only way you're going to get away with it.
That's his compadre who usually tries to touch his head, Elvis Andrus. Andrus and Beltre have played a long time together. Andrus has played as many games at shortstop other than Alexi Ramirez in the American League since '09. So they've had a lot of time together. There's Elvis. Don't forget, right after our game, we've got Rich Schallenberg and Orestes Estrada anchoring the coverage of our Rays Live post-game show presented by Checkers. We will hear from Kevin Cash as well as interviews from the Rays clubhouse. Hopefully talking about a big comeback, and it's not necessarily out of the question when you talk about the Rangers, because whoever leads after 7 innings has not always been the winning team this season with Texas. They won 9 when losing after 7 and lost 7 when leading after 7, although tonight was a little bit larger lead than some of those. 6-0 after 7 is now 6-2. Lucroy off the end of the bat. Farquhar will have a 1-2-3 inning with the underhand toss to Brad Miller. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Rays need a big rally, down 6-2. Rays didn't have their first hit until 2 outs into the 6th. Didn't have their first run until Steven Souza Jr. led off the 8th with a home run. And now they bat in the 9th, trailing 6-2. Drew Stubbs takes over in left field for Turks and Profar. And Jake Diekman remains out on the mound here in the 9th inning, and will face Matt Duffy, Logan Morrison, Tim Beckham. First 3 due up for the Rays here in the bottom of the 9th. Diekman took over in the 8th with 1 on and 2 outs in a 6-2 game. So the tying run not on deck when he took over. Not a save situation for him as Duffy swings and misses, 0-2. There's the local product, Sam Dyson, warming up just in case the Rays rally here in the 9th. In the dirt, 1-2. Rays swept the San Diego Padres in a 3-game series at the same time the Rangers were sweeping the Oakland A's. Kevin Cash's team riding a 4-game winning streak coming into tonight. But now down to their final 2 outs as Duffy goes down swinging for the first out here in the 9th.
A couple of different weapons for Diekman to be able to get you with. One is that 95-mile-an-hour fastball that he's able to overpower you with, and then you start to think about that breaking ball and the angle that he can create with that, the sweep that he gets with it. He's a tough at-bat. Very tough for a left-handed hitter.
So to answer your question earlier, 8 I think is a blockbuster. I would say 7 would be pretty close to a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Anything less than 7, it starts to get gray. Is 6 a blockbuster?
It depends on the names involved.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
You've got to have a couple of high-powered players, and then it would qualify.
I got you. No swing, says Logan, or on Logan Morrison, says the third base umpire Adrian Johnson.
You could go down to 2 and have a blockbuster.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Do you? Like 1 for 1?
Longoria for Beltran.
Okay.
I would think that would qualify. You go big boy for big boy. Real big boy for real big boy.
The word blockbuster I think of is like not just grand, but a lot of moving pieces. But that would be a grand trade.
Oh, wow. With an E on the end?
Yeah, I think blockbuster. You could go there.
Would you go grand with an E on the end? Because that's like a classier version of grand.
Grande.
Right.
On the ground, Moreland with the play, 2 outs, Rays down to their final out.
It's like when you go to those restaurants that have the word grill in it, when it's G-R-I-L-L, yeah, okay. It could go, when they add the E, now you think, ooh, classy. That E, it's like grand.
Makes a difference.
Or grand with an E on the end. Not even grande, just you add the E, you say and more at the end of sentences, it works.
Tim Beckham, the batter, Rays down to their final out, trailing 6-2. We will have a recap of this game and more coming up on our Rays Live postgame show presented by Checkers. Misses the zone, says Chad Whitson. 1 ball and 1 strike to Beckham. Rays lost Kevin Kiermaier after 2 innings due to tightness in his left hip. Nick Franklin would leave the game a couple of innings later. Get a report on him from Kevin Cash after the game. Corey Dickerson came on as the 3rd left fielder in the game as Matuk moved to center. Dickerson picked up 2 of the Rays' 5 hits so far with a single and a double. Other hits belong to Evan Longoria, Brad Miller, and then the big blast, the home run by Steven Souza Jr. that cleared the stands in left field. Up the middle, and Odor makes the play off Beckham beats it out. That's hit number 6 for the Rays. And Beckham's first hit of the night.
Now the only thing that gave that a chance was it hit the mound, bounded up high, and that's going to allow right there. It's going to allow Odor to get to it, but now you've got to complete it with the throw, and it's just too hard of a throw. And Beckham smelling a hit right here, doing his best to beat it out. He does.
So I give another bat to Steven Souza Jr., who hit his 12th home run of the year, one of his longest we have seen here at Tropicana Field. Onto the tarp out there in left field. Final batter. Cole Hamels' only run allowed. Hamels would end his night after he struck out the next hitter, Bobby Wilson, to end his evening. 0-1 to Souza. Now Diekman ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. And that'll do it as the Rangers win the opening game of this weekend series. 6-2 the final score. Diekman gets the final 4 outs. And on 11 hits, the Rangers defeat the Rays 6-2. 4 of those 11 hits came from Adrian Beltre. And the Rangers have now won 4 in a row with a win tonight against the Rays. Rays are now 3-1 on this homestand. They'll try and win the middle game of the series tomorrow with Jake Odorizzi on the mound. We'll be on the air at 5:30 with our Rays Live pregame show. Coming up next will be our Rays Live postgame show presented by Checkers. Once again, the final, Cole Hamels and the Rangers, and Adrian Beltre win it 6-2.